And welcome back to the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm your host for the day, Alex Lima, with BlackBelt Fitness and Martial Arts, filling in for your host, the Consumer Quarterback himself, Brandon Rhymes. As promised, we have Ray Hall of Ray Hall Appraisals right here in the building with us. He's going to drop some appraisal knowledge on us and educate you how to win in that marketplace and pretty much let you know why it is you should do business with him, because everybody that sits in these seats here across from us when we're doing the interviews, we've vetted them, we've talked to them, we've done business with them. We know that they're legit, and that's who we want to work with, right? We're looking for people that are legit and honest, and that's what we go for. And then later on, coming up, the Tin Man himself, Fred Muth of Tampa Screens and Aluminums. But before we get to all that, we want to go ahead and highlight one of our properties from the Platinum MVP team, also known as the Platinum Coastal Elite. Property that we would like to show you right now is 7202 US Highway 301 South. This is a commercial property. It's on a premium corner lot right here off of 301 in Riverview. It's a 2-building parcel. One of them, it's actually set up as a barber shop right now. It's 1,281 square feet. My understanding is that barbershop is in the process of moving. They're upgrading, going to another location. Not upgrading, but expanding. They needed a bigger site, so they're going to another location. So you're going to have 1,281 square feet open up for any kind of business. You can put a mortgage, agency there. You can put a small training studio, or actually a decent sized training studio. And then also within that little plaza there, you have 1,768 square foot auto repair business. Now, the auto repair shop has just leased a 5-year term deal. So that means they are there. That's guaranteed income if you purchase this property for 5 years. That auto shop is there, and they're cranking out business. It's a busy area right there off of 301. So definitely check that one out. 7202 US Highway 301 South in Riverview, Florida. We would also like to show you this one. This is a beautiful property right here, 14 Baywood Drive. 14 Baywood Drive in beautiful Palm Harbor, Pinellas County. Everybody loves Pinellas County, right? This is 2,913 square feet. It's a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, completely remodeled, 3-story home. Not 2-story, 3-story home. It's got a wood-burning fireplace in the living room, vaulted ceilings. It's got a pool and screened-in back porch, and it's on a waterfront community. I mean, that bathroom is gorgeous right there, that bathtub right there. Plus, you got the stand-up shower. Who doesn't love, a good flight of stairs, right? Unless you're not in shape. But then again, the stairs will help you get in shape, so it's not a bad deal for you. Beautiful kitchen. I mean, this is a beautiful house. I might actually drive by and check this one out myself. So per the usual, you can call us 727-263-3707. That'll get you in touch with us for the real estate side of things, and also put you in contact with our experts. You can speak to myself about self-defense. You can talk to Ray Hall about appraisals. We just had Tom Rydberg, DK Mortgage. You want to talk to him, you can give that number a call. And you can see all our properties at platinumcoastalelite.com. So Ray Hall in the building. Man, it's been a minute since I've seen you in studio.
It has been a while.
Been a phone-in guy. I like your energy. I need you here in studio with me, man.
I appreciate that. I've been doing some different things over the past year, but back to focusing on the appraisal business full-time. So, I always enjoyed my time here in the studio, so it was kind of a bummer when I was doing it remote, but happy to be back, and glad you're here today.
Hey, thank you, buddy. I appreciate that, man. And again, it's great seeing you. So, Ray Hall Appraisal. So one more time, kind of let people know what it is you do and how you came to be, and how did it become Ray Hall Appraisals?
I've actually been an appraiser since 2004. So you guys were talking about that, last collapse of the market. Yeah. I started appraising back then.
Yeah.
So I've been through that. So I'm what they call a residential and commercial appraiser. I'm what's called a Certified General Appraiser. I can do any kind of real property. So we handle, all sorts of commercial, industrial, agricultural. In fact, I just was talking to an associate of mine up in Kentucky that they want me to do a farm up there.
Oh, wow.
That's where I'm licensed also in 5 states.
Have you done many farms since we're just
I have. One of the probably the highest value property I ever did, I think we've talked about it on the show, was a citrus grove.
Oh, yeah.
In Florida.
Yeah.
And it was 25,000 acres.
My goodness.
And that was quite a bear of a report. But,
I bet. They weren't in just 5 minutes taking some pictures and out. That was
no. And yeah. the thing about that, and where commercial gets especially agricultural, gets different from residential, is I then had to learn how to price citrus. I had to learn about the whole process of how they make money off citrus, because that was where the value was in the property.
It has to be taken into consideration.
Yep. Yeah. So I had to go over their production numbers, how many boxes they did, how many pounds solid of sugar per box, and now I'm a citrus expert.
Nice.
So
Nice.
it's times like that is when I really love my job, when it gets interesting and I learn a lot of new things, and it's a very cool thing.
That's cool, man. That's awesome. So citrus expert. Any other? See, now I'm curious. What other appraisals have you maybe done that pushed you on that path of like, well, I guess I got to learn about citrus, or now I have to learn about this industry more? And
Got another great story,
Yeah.
and I've told this to Brandon. Was I had an Indian mound.
a what now?
An Indian mound.
Okay.
So what that is the Indians way back when, and this was actually what I guess they called it an extinct tribe.
Yeah.
They basically, like we would have a landfill, they have a mound,
Okay.
and it could be a burial mound. It could be, their trash mound.
Right.
But there's artifacts in there. Well, this was their temple mound.
Oh wow.
So the holy man lived there. He lived in whatever hut, tent, whatever they had then. When he would die, he would be placed in there. It would be burned down, covered with dirt,
Wow.
and the new temple would go up.
So it served like a mausoleum, and then they would
Sort of.
or complete burial site and everything.
Right.
Wow. Wow. That's
So this
crazy.
was a big, giant mound down in Bradenton. It was a very well-known mound, and the state was buying it from a museum. So, I had to go to the state and find out what can I do with this. And it was, well, you can do whatever you want. You just have to do it right. You have to get a company to do the excavation.
Sure.
I had to contact the archaeology department in USF. They recommended someone who actually knew the mound and had a company that does that, and they gave me the estimated cost of excavating it, which
Wow.
was way more than what the land was worth.
Wow.
So finally, at the end of the day, I had to figure out the highest and best use of that property, which was connect it to the land next door and get 2 more development rights should you ever want to develop that extra land.
Wow. So it was interesting. It's interesting. So it was owned by a museum because obviously this is a piece of history at this point,
Yep.
especially Florida history. And then, but the mound was off site. So the museum had this, and it was off site. Like how?
Yep.
Yeah. Wow. That's
And
crazy.
it had parking. You had it parking.
No
Now,
way.
they were in kind of a disagreement with the property owner right behind it because I think he was thinking it was his and he would chase people off the property. I didn't meet him. They said I
Yeah.
was lucky that day that he didn't come out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was off site from the museum, and I think that's why the state wanted to acquire it. The University of Florida had excavated other sites in that area back in the 60s, and I guess it's up in a museum they have up in Gainesville. So, just another point where I knew nothing about this and had to do my job. I had to, learn about it and, converse with experts in that field. And, again, very interesting.
Have you ever passed by the museum to see it up in Gainesville?
No, I haven't. I'll
That's
be
a pretty
honest.
big flex, man. You take a date over there and like, hey, I want to show you this. You see this right here?
I
did that.
I probably should do that. That's actually a good idea.
You know what I'm saying? Like that is really cool. I can't imagine there's not too many people that can say that they like essentially saved a piece of Florida history and sent it to to be preserved in a museum now.
We used to do a lot with
It's
the
like
company.
Indiana Jones, man.
It sort of.
Yeah,
That would be
early
cool.
Indiana Jones, not this like woke stuff. The early Indiana Jones.
Yeah, and I'm not wearing leather in
Yeah,
this
no,
Florida
no,
heat.
no,
Hell,
that's not happening.
That's not happening.
That's cool, man. So on a typical appraisal, and when I say typical, I mean when you're doing just like not something to that that's an extreme situation, obviously, or a special situation.
Right.
How does that process typically work when you come in and for a home or residential property, commercial property?
It's a little, obviously a lot easier.
For sure.
So,
I imagine.
that inspection, it's usually, 15, 20 minutes. And what I'm doing is I'm going in and I'm trying to get an idea of the condition of the house, the quality of the house. Is it a lot of inexpensive fixtures and inexpensive materials, or did they have some nice things in there when it was built? Condition, have they upgraded the kitchens and the baths, the flooring? Is the carpet in really good condition, or is it stained? So what I'm trying to get an idea of is, how does this house compare to all the other houses that's sold in that neighborhood?
Right.
Because ultimately, that's where your value comes from.
You got to do your comps, and it has to be a comp,
Exactly.
an actual comp, not just like, hey, their house has 3 bedrooms, mine
Right.
has to be worth this much. Yeah, well, their house had floor made from Noah's Ark or something like that. It's going to be different.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And a lot of people make the mistake of thinking, and I had it once, where they say, well, we bought the house for $250,000. We put a $7,000 fence in. The house is now worth $257,000.
Not necessarily.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, all that value comes from the comps. The money you spend on the house isn't necessarily reflected in your value. And I always give my house as a great example. I built it, new. I had the garage extended. I had my master bedroom extended. And eventually I put in a pool. The pool will give me some value. The other things, absolutely not.
Wow.
No one's going to go in my garage and say, oh, it's 30 feet long, I'm going to pay X amount more. Probably not. It was just convenient for me.
Yeah, it's what you wanted for your home. You didn't do it because
Exactly.
you thought it was going to, increase the value tenfold. You did it because I wanted to expand these rooms. And I wanted to do these things.
Yep.
When someone is, because obviously the average person thinks that. They think, oh, I'm going to make these rooms bigger. It's got to up the value of the house.
Yeah.
Some good sources maybe, other than, reaching out to an appraiser and stuff. Like, 'cause there's so many faux sources of like things. And, you watch, I don't want to, give any TV shows or channels highlights, but these like, these flipping shows or something like that, and they turn this little, trailer into this, mini house mansion and stuff like that, and they think that their property is going to be worth X amount.
Right. And my favorite on those shows is oh, if you do this work, we had an appraiser come in, and he says you're going to add it $10,000 it doesn't work.
I want to
that
see
way.
that segment. I want to see where the guy really came in and gave the appraisal.
Right, that's what, because I don't know of an appraiser who would ever get on the TV
Right.
and put a number on it like that
Yeah.
without doing their due diligence and having
Yeah.
work files and doing everything we have to do. I
Sure.
mean, there's a lot of back office stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes I tell people, I can do the appraisal, and I said, I need you to fill out this paperwork. Well, why? I said, well, actually, by law, I have to have this in the work file that
Yeah.
you want me to do this appraisal.
CYA, there's a legal process that needs to be followed. Things have to be done correctly.
Exactly. So really, the best way is going to get that appraiser or a realtor. Realtors will come out and they'll
Yeah.
talk to you too. You can use some of the websites. Like I tell people, don't go to some place like Zillow. Maybe their Zestimate might not be accurate, but they do have some great resources where you can actually see homes that's sold in your neighborhood. And you can see their MLS listings, and
Good
you can
comps,
see
yeah.
what I'm seeing. So you can see where the comps are in your neighborhood. And, be reasonable. If you're having to go 5 miles, if you're in the city of Tampa and you have to go 5 miles away to get a comp, and then you say your house is worth that, it's probably not.
Yeah.
And I've had issues where I had an order where I eventually turned it down and told them I wouldn't appraise the house because they were up in around the Tampa Heights area, and they wanted me to value it with comps from South Tampa.
Oh, no. That's
in
way off. It's way off.
Bayshore and Hyde Park, and I finally said, no, that's not your market.
Yeah.
I don't know why you want this appraisal, but I don't want my name on it, so I'm not going to do it.
That's bizarre.
Yeah. So there's things like that, but always just be reasonable, be conservative. Especially if you're trying to make a decision based on that information. Don't stretch it, don't push it. Because you could just hurt yourself in the long run.
True that. And then also going back to those like reality shows where they do those flips. My favorite part of them is where the people looking at the home or looking to do the renovations, and they're like, the wife is like, I'm a poster maker, and the husband's like, yeah, I'm a fish collector, and our budget is $17 million. We're looking for. Where do these jobs come from, man? You know what I'm saying? There's always this extreme, like, where do they get these numbers from? I guess in California or wherever, they pay a lot more for being a fish collector. I don't know.
Or maybe their loan was stated income or something.
I don't know, man. It's crazy. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to have Ray Hall with us for a couple more minutes, and he's going to tell us a little bit more about his industry and give you some information on how to reach him and get a hold of him. You can get a hold of all of our experts at 727-263-3707 or visit us on consumerqb.com. Don't touch that dial.
Hey, I'm Ken Shamrock, and you're here with Consumer Quarterback Show. And I say, Brandon Rhymes, knock out your competition.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm your host again for the day, Alex Lima with BlackBelt Fitness and Martial Arts, filling in for Brandon Rhymes, your consumer quarterback. We're going to be wrapping up here with Ray Hall, but I wanted to give him a chance to let you know about some awesome specials and deals that he has going on and how you can get a hold of him before we bring in our man, the Tin Man himself, Fred Muth of Tampa Screens and Aluminum. So, Ray, go ahead, break it down for us. What kind of stuff you got going on?
We're going to offer that owner's use appraisal we do. It's a restricted use appraisal, no inspection needed. You can just send us the photographs. We go ahead, prepare the appraisal. It's signed. It's got the value on it. And we're only going to charge you $150 for that.
Man, that's great.
It's a great deal. We want to do that for the listeners. And, if you're trying to make a decision as to whether or not you want to sell or how much you think you can sell it for, or maybe you want to do a renovation, we can help you out with that. You can just call my office at 813-452-5369 or go to rayhallappraisals.com.
Awesome, man. I love it. That's awesome that you got that going on for our listeners. So you heard it here, right here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, $150. And up to what area? Like, how big is that radius of where you go and you do the appraisals and stuff?
Oh, if you're listening to this show, you're probably in my area.
Nice.
We cover 8 counties. We cover Hillsborough, Hernando, Pasco, Pinellas, Manatee, Lake, Citrus, Sumter. So
that's it.
If you're outside my area, I challenge you.
So you hear him. Challenge accepted. Call 727-263-3707 and we'll put you in contact with Ray Hall of Ray Hall Appraisals. And actually, you know what? Ray knows my man Fred, so maybe we should just go ahead and bring Fred in on the phone. You can say hi to him since you're familiar with his car game as well. So.
Oh, man, Fred did my pool cage, and it was the best part of that experience was working with Fred.
He's so cool. Let's see. Fred, we got you on the line?
Yeah, I'm writing the check here. Hold on, Ray.
Yeah. Hey, I get a little piece of that because we're pumping you up here, okay?
Yeah, how you doing, Ray? Good to talk to you.
It's good to talk to you, Fred. I haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah, I haven't been in the studio since the big bad virus came around, and I'm going to start getting back into it. I was going to come in today, but my schedule was real tight. But, I'm shooting for, next month, get a couple times into the studio. I'd love to be on the show with you. We always had fun on the show.
Absolutely. I'll talk to Brandon about that, and we'll try to schedule that together.
Good. How's your cage holding up, Ray?
Amazing.
Good. It didn't blow down. I told you it would blow down in 3 years.
What are you at, 2.5 right now? 2.5 years, so you still got another 6 months before it falls?
Yeah.
Well, let's see. We put it in, I believe it was 2018.
Yes, it was.
And like I said, putting in a pool at times is a very taxing experience with all the subcontractors and everything. Fred's people came out. They had it up, I think, in 2 days, cleaned up. It was the easiest part of my whole pool experience.
Yeah.
And I still sit out in that pool and go, man, this thing looks good. So
and you did promise me a free swim in the pool, so I guess I have to come up and do some measurements and fall in myself, right?
Well, there you go. I mean, actually, I need to get a panel fixed because I had put a dog door in it that I don't need anymore. So,
okay.
Sure, it's so hot. You guys come on up and go swimming and help me out with that.
Yeah, go swimming and we'll bring our rescreen tools.
There you go.
Fred, you're missing the magic word. Anytime you want to utilize one of your friends for either their pool or, you want to do something, there's always this magic phrase that you can utilize. You know what that phrase is?
Go ahead. Let's hear it.
I'll buy you a drink.
I like that already.
Let's go to the pool, man. I'll buy you a drink.
That usually does it.
You know what I'm saying? It gets us at least started. We're starting to think out of it in a positive light. Fred, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Good to hear from you, and great seeing you a couple of weeks ago. You're always a pleasure, and I want to tell you, Brandon really rolls out the red carpet, doesn't he?
Oh,
Brandon
man,
and his wife, Lindsay.
Now I got to cut you a check.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, no, it was great. And another thing, actually, off air before we got you on the lines, me and Ray were talking about you being a car guy. I don't think a lot of our listeners know that about your beautiful Camaro.
Yeah, I have the old car, classic car problem. Always did. I've been a kid for a long time, and I don't plan on changing that. I bought a 67 Super Sport Rally Sport convertible in 1981, and I still have it. Matching numbers car. Beautiful car. Did a restoration on it, and then I also have an 81 Z28 Canadian car, which is a very unusual car. But I'm down to two. I had more than two at one time. Down to two, and I'm going to stay there. They're fun. They're fun to drive.
Well, I mean, what I've come to realize over the years is I only have one butt that I can put in the seats. So, two cars, I mean, you can only drive one at a time anyways, right? So,
well, you have to have a split personality because, I think
only
that's
one?
what works. Yeah, no, split your personality, and you'll know who to be when you're in the 81. You'll know to be the other guy when you're in the 67.
That's right. I like it.
I've got my tiny little Sentra work car, and then I've got my big old truck.
That's it, baby. That's it. When it's like we're like a mullet, business in the front, party in the back.
Exactly.
Like when you're ready.
Yeah.
Nice.
I go to a lot of shows. I enter the cars in a lot of shows, and that's the fun part. I do a lot of benefits. I'm a big supporter of veterans, and there's a lot of veteran benefits that I actually have to pay to get the car in, which is fine with me because I know where the money goes.
Definitely.
But they're the events that I really enjoy, and you see these guys there. Some of these guys from Vietnam, some of these guys that are suffering from Agent Orange. My heart goes out to them because I had a half brother that never came back alive from Vietnam. So I like doing that. I feel good about it. And boy, these guys can really appreciate the old Detroit iron.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. And speaking of, you also you do specials for veterans, correct? With your business with Tampa Screens, you guys you have little specials you run for them.
Absolutely. If you are if you have any military in your background, any first responder, some medical, we do give a discounted price. That's correct.
Awesome. So how's that looking right now? The market. How are we looking this week for going up and setting up screens and aluminums around the Bay Area?
Well, I see things slowing down a little bit. I used to calculate the business by the amount of leads that come across my plate from the office, and I'm down about 65% of the leads now. Wow. That are coming across my plate, which I'm still getting a lot of leads, but I have other lead sources. I have referrals, repeat business. I have real estate agents that I've dealt with, and so I'm still getting qualified leads. What is unfortunate is the pricing of these enclosures over the past 5 years has escalated. Ray, whatever you paid for yours, you'd have to probably almost double that in today's world, believe it or not.
Wow.
Yeah. It's tough. Yeah, a person just purchases their home, they're in for $500,000, and then they want a cage, and then they see that the cage is in anywhere from $10,000 to $25,000, depending on the size. But their neighbor, 4 years ago paid a lot less, and it's just hard to digest. But it continues to rise, including concrete. I have a very good concrete contractor. I've worked with his company since 1996, and he called me last week and said, "Hey, it's up 5%. Materials up 5%." And I go, "Yeah, you told me that about 3 months ago." Yep, he says. How?
Oh, yeah, Fred, you're cutting out a little bit, buddy. It's all right, no worries. So Fred, Fred, you can always check him out at tampascreensaluminum.com. Fred, he's always a joy. The man really is a blessing. To every time his energy is contagious when you get a chance to talk to him and meet him, and I'm sure Ray can attest to that. Ray can also, we got it here on air, talking about the quality of the work. You're gonna, even though prices may be up a little bit, you're gonna get what you pay for. He's gonna make sure that you're looking right and you're gonna completely enjoy, your home, and it's gonna add, maybe not so much value, but it's going to add to the experience you have when you're in your backyard or you're chilling in your pool with your kids and your family and stuff like that. Beautiful scenery. Tampa Screens and Aluminum will definitely take care of you. You can get a hold of Fred by calling 727-263-3707. You can also reach all of our guests on www.consumerqb.com. We have a whole lineup of everybody there. So Ray Hall, thanks for coming in, man.
Oh, thanks for having me. Had a great time.
Yeah, buddy. Always good talking to you. And Fred, I know you can't hear us right now, but you're going to hear it on the radio. We love you, buddy. We'll talk to you soon. Check us out, consumerqb.com.
You've been listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.